Hello Year 7. For this week's lesson we are going to be looking at drawing from our specimens that we collected on our nature walk. I'm hoping that you have got an assortment of little collections that you have collected from our native trees, looked at the ground around our trees. Before half term you were asked to photograph these, so if you don't have the specimens anymore you can work from the photographs. Today I'm going to show you how we're going to go about drawing a few of these specimens. I'm not going to attempt to draw everything here, I'm just going to attempt to draw a select few, maybe 4 or 5 of these objects, and I'm going to put these into a composition which we are then going to use colour on in our subsequent lessons. So I have now prepared my sketchbook page. You will see here that I'm working on an A3 sketchbook, but I've drawn out a box, a rectangle, which is the same size as your A5 sketchbook pages. So I'm going to plan to do all of my drawing of my specimens within this rectangle. You can see here I've selected out 5 objects from my collection of specimens that I collected on my nature walk. So I've got some lichen here, I've got a dried up leaf, I've got some bark which has got some lichen on it as well. I've got a little bit of moss which is going to provide some very interesting texture to draw, and I've also got an acorn shell here, also with a little acorn in it. Quite interesting objects, and what I want to do is I want to arrange these objects and draw these onto my page in my sketchbook. If you don't have your sketchbook with you for whatever reason, it's absolutely fine to do this on paper, but do see if you can find a fairly decent paper to work on, because as with our Frida Kahlo transcriptions, you are going to be adding paint and coloured pencils. So we're going to be using the processes that we learnt last half term in order to make these really interesting and to be used on our future work for our Frida Kahlo inspired portraits that we're going to be doing during the course of this half term. So we're going to start by thinking about how we're going to arrange these objects, and we want to actually start to observe and draw. So I'm going to place this lichen up here, and I'm going to start to draw the shape here of the branch inside the lichen to give me a format and a shape. And I'm going to very lightly, because I'm going to be adding in lots of paint on top of this, so I don't really want my paint to show the lead pencil marks through it. So I'm just going to sketch these out. Notice I'm going very light with my pencil. I'm looking, making adjustments, noticing if I need to add a little bit of texture in there. Not too much detail. So I'm drawing the outside shapes, and then I want to draw some of the internal shapes inside there. I'm not going to do too much more detail than that. So that gives you a little bit of an overview of how we're going to go about drawing about actual size of our objects. If you want to enlarge them slightly to fill your page, that's absolutely fine. Figure 7, I have sketched out all of my objects here onto my A5 piece of paper. You will have noticed during that video that I made an adjustment here because I didn't like the placement of where I put the moss originally up here. So I redrew it, I rubbed it out and redrew it again. So I got a better composition. When we talk about composition, we're talking about the layout of where our objects sit. Now, you will notice that I haven't put a huge amount of detail, more detail in some areas than others. I haven't put very much detail at all into my moss because I'm going to do that later with my watercolours and with my colour pencil. The same here with my sort of lichen moss that I've got here. I haven't put a huge amount of detail into that one either because I'm going to do that with colour. So your lesson today was to sketch out your specimens from your nature walk, and hopefully you have now got 4 or 5 specimens on your page, beautifully observed and ready for next lesson in where you're going to paint.